Good evening and welcome to another edition of Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I am Ryan Roberts. These are my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Miss Shelley Pruitt. How you guys doing?
We made it.
Good. Yeah, we made it. We survived.
We did.
Before we go on the next round.
Woo!
Oh, God.
Man, God almighty. 3 weeks on the road was a lot, but damn was it fun.
Absolute blast. So much fun. So many nice people. Thank you to everyone who made us feel so welcome and was so kind to us and came out to see us, came out and like, hey, don't leave before we're going to go have lunch with you, that kind of stuff. Thank you. You made us feel very good and we appreciate all of you.
Right. We are absolutely humbled by each and every one of you. And we thank you so
Very
much for caring about our goofy little show that comes to the Midwest every now and again, or out east, or wherever you may find us. So,
and for making the trip out to see us. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, it's so awesome. Thank you so much.
And I also want to give a huge shout out and appreciation to anybody who stopped by the table to allow me to channel and read for you. And yeah, that was a huge honor. Y'all made my weekend at KC Paracon. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was a blast. And you know, guys, we do go out a lot. We go out into the country a lot, and we did make a foray eastward this time. But a lot of time, we spent a lot of time in the Midwest. And since we spent a whole lot of time in the Midwest, I thought I'd bring you a couple of stories from the Midwest and kind of give a shout out to some of those peeps out there, and maybe these are some stories that they've heard before.
Well, we've run all the roads up there, so why not?
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll know some of the places that this takes place.
We might, and some of these people listening may know some of these stories, and if you do, feel free to chime in. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the first one if you guys are ready.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, like I said, since we spent a lot of time in the Midwest and we just got back, I thought I'd bring a few stories from the Midwest to the show tonight. And now, the Midwest is rich in folklore and tradition. Every uncle or grandpa has stories they tell the children in order to freak them out or give them some sort of moral lesson. But ultimately, they just want to freak everybody out. And one of the best tools to do that is to pass down these spooky stories from generation to generation. And so tonight, we're going to get into a few stories that are downright creepy. And some may be stories you've heard before, being passed around like urban legends around the campfire. But the first story we're going to get into comes to you from my favorite city in the Midwest, the city of Chicago. Now, Chicago is the third largest city in the nation. And it's notorious for its criminal past, crawling with gangsters, and even America's first well-known serial killer, H.H. Holmes. So one would assume one of those infamous bad men would be one of the most famous ghosts in Chicago. And while some claim to have run into these guys long after they've been dead, their dirty deeds are overshadowed by Chicago's most famous ghost. A small blonde woman in a white ball gown that attempts to get unsuspecting people to give her a ride home.
Shelley, I told you to stop. I told you to stop asking for rides in Chicago, Shelley.
I was just trying to make friends. Leave me alone. I didn't want to get my dress dirty.
Damn it, Shelley. I told you time and again, there is Lyft and Uber now. Stop
You
wearing
should
your ball
know by
gown
now.
and asking for rides.
Especially by the graveyard. Come on now.
Well, you should know by now. If they were wearing white, it damn sure wasn't me.
But no, I'm not talking about Shelley. I'm talking, of course, about Resurrection Mary. Now, the story of this entity goes that a young woman back in 1930, matching Mary's description, went to a winter dance with her sweetheart at the O. Henry Ballroom in the South Chicago suburb of Willow Springs. Now, everything at the dance was going well, and the two young lovers were having a blast and enjoying each other's company. But at some point in the night, that changed. The couple were seen engaged in a vicious argument, and no one knew it was over, but it was bad. And Mary, now she had ridden to the dance with her date, but after that argument, that was the last thing that she wanted to do.
No, hell, I ain't going with him. I'll just walk. Let him wonder where I went.
I'll find my own damn way home. I said, so she set off home down a long, dark stretch of road known as Archer Road. And it was extremely dark and cold that night. And all Mary had on was her favorite pair of dancing shoes and her elegant ball gown. Now, as Mary walked, the snow crunched under her feet as she walked along. And she shivered from the cold northern wind whipping through the trees, cutting through her waif-like frame like a hot knife through butter. She halfway wished that she had stayed with her date and not made the rash decision to walk home. But her boyfriend had been such a jerk, and it was the principle of the matter that drove her forward. Sounds like somebody I know.
That's the thing. I was like, man, are you reading Shelley's biography right now? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because child, I've made that mistake before. Nah, screw you. I'm just gonna walk and been like, damn, it's cold out here. Why in the hell did I do that? And don't bother coming to find me because I ain't getting in that car. But you better come and find me just so. You better
mean,
come on.
literally,
I'm not gonna
you-
get in the car, but you better drive along beside me till I decide I've forgiven you. Yeah,
I literally feel like you're reading Shelley, a memoir.
I kind of
right
do.
now.
I kind of feel like you do too. That was when I was much younger and much more picky.
I mean, if she ever becomes a ghost story, this is the template.
It really kind of is.
So soon she came upon the old resurrection cemetery. She was so happy. She was almost home and almost warm. Any minute now, she would walk through the front door of her home and get under her covers. But in the distance, a car approached, barreling down the dark, snow-covered road at a breakneck speed, heading directly towards the unsuspecting Mary. The car's driver rolled up on the pale young woman in the white ball gown walking down the middle of the road. He tried to stop, but the road was just so slick. He skidded directly into Mary with a sickening thud. The man stopped the car. He didn't mean to hit the poor girl. He just came up on her so fast there was nothing that he could do. He tried to stop, but there was no avoiding it. The once white snow was now a deep crimson red. And in the rearview mirror, all the man could see was the mangled heap that was once Mary.
Ew.
He didn't want any of this, and it was too much for him. So he sped off, leaving the lifeless body of Mary on the side of the road for someone to find the next morning. And as dawn broke, she was discovered and her family was notified.
We just went from Shelley, a memoir, to I Know What You Did Last Winter.
Yeah, we just switched stories.
We just switched stories mid-story right there. So like Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. is going to come out of nowhere sometime soon. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, Mary was buried in the same cemetery that she died in front of and was laid to rest in her favorite dancing shoes. A tragic end to a tragic story. Or so everyone thought. Because about 5 years later, after her tragic death, people began describing a girl matching Mary's description, hitching rides down Archer Road and disappearing into thin air. Some even reported spending the evening dancing with this woman and giving her a ride home only to have her vanish in front of Resurrection Cemetery. Now, the most famous being the story of cab driver Jerry Paulus. Jerry liked to go out dancing, and one night in 1939, Jerry went to his favorite Chicago dance hall and saw this gorgeous blonde woman dancing in a white gown and having the absolute best time. Now, Jerry wasn't going to pass up on introducing himself, so he walked up to her and said hello. She said hello back and introduced herself as Mary. Jerry and Mary really hit it off with each other and spent the night. Yeah.
Sorry, Jerry and Mary.
And spent the night dancing their hearts out. Now, Jerry was absolutely smitten with Mary, but something struck him as being odd because Mary's skin was ice cold. It didn't make any sense to Jerry. She should be hot and sweaty just like him. But nonetheless, she was pretty and seemed to really dig him.
Hey, calm down, Jerry. She might have low iron or something. Like,
Yeah, I was going to say, what's wrong with having? I'm always cold. My hand is always cold. My arms are always cold.
Right. You could be an iron deficiency. Chill out, Jerry.
That's
it's
right.
Okay.
Quit judging me, Jerry. Quit judging me. I'm always ice cold to the touch. Not that I've been touched, but hey, you know.
I mean, you are the ice queen, so.
I am.
So Jerry, he ends up getting a kiss and asked if he could give her a ride home. She said yes and told Jerry where she lived. But then she made the strangest request. She asked Jerry if he could drop her off on Archer Road, right in front of Resurrection Cemetery. Now, Jerry thought that was rather odd, but pretty girl asked him to do something, so he did it as he was told. And pulled up right in front of the cemetery. Now, Mary thanked him for a wonderful evening and got out of the car and vanished right in front of Jerry's eyes. Jerry was absolutely dumbfounded. He could not believe what he had just seen. So he put his car in drive and drove home rather quickly, trying to convince himself that he wasn't crazy. So he got home, and as he lay in his bed, he could not get the image of Mary out of his head. So he got up the next morning and went to the address that Mary had given him the night before. He nervously walked to the front door and gathered the courage to knock. An older woman appeared at the door and asked, could she help him? Jerry said yes, she could, and told the woman his story about meeting a girl named Mary and dancing with her all night the night before. The older woman just listened to Jerry's story and let him finish. She turned to him and told him that Mary was her daughter. But there was only one problem with Jerry's story. Mary had been dead for 5 years. Now, Jerry was not alone with his sighting. Ever since that, multiple people have reported running into her late at night on Archer Road. So if you're brave enough to take a ride to Resurrection Cemetery on a cold moonlit night, who knows? Maybe you'll see Mary and have your chance to dance with the dead. So what do you think of that story?
So this okay. I'm just gonna say,
Sure.
I would like to get y'all's take on these kinds of stories. I love that you brought this one up because if you live in Texas, if you live around DFW, you will also know one of these stories as well. Basically, it's the vanishing hitchhiker story.
Right.
It's it's the Lady of the Lake.
The Lady of the Lake or vanishing hitchhiker. Yeah. And her story is, I don't remember exactly. I'm just
the White Rock Lake story is
basically,
she was drowned in a boat.
There was a boating accident, and then she appears to these drivers, and she asks for a ride home whenever they take her to, wherever they're going. By the time they look back into the back seat where she was, there's just a puddle of water left. That's the paraphrased version of her story.
Right.
So I feel like almost every city has this kind of story.
They do.
I
woman
think
in
they
white.
do. Yeah, but I think that Resurrection Mary is it may be the most famous because I think it kind of sets the template for the modern day hitchhiker story. It's but like you said, it's that urban legend thing that does go around, that every hamlet, no matter where you're at, has some sort of vanishing hitchhiker story. I remember one from North Carolina where a girl died in a motorcycle accident, and the same thing, the guy gives her a ride. When he pulls up in front of the house, she's gone. Knocks on the door, the mom says, well, she's been dead for 5 years or however many years. So
right, the variation on the story, the Dallas story, is that it's the father that answers the door and says that his daughter's been dead for a long time. Yeah. And the number of years changes. Sometimes you hear it's like she's been dead for over 10 years, she's been dead for over 30 years, that kind of thing. But it is that woman in white asking for a ride home. That's a very common story, and you're right, it's common throughout. You pick a town, I mean, even a little town I live in, it's got somebody that's seen out by the lake, a female out by the lake. So
hitching a ride,
I'm not sure about the hitching a ride part, but there's, out by the lake. So I don't know if this is
a body of water of sorts.
Right.
Yeah. And always vanishes near a graveyard, right?
Right.
So,
now there are people who have sworn to have seen this person, like around Resurrection Cemetery.
And everyone may have.
A lot of people. But I mean, do you think at this point, because it is such a common trope when it comes to urban legends and ghost stories, think it could be a thought form? Or do you think, because it's one of those things, it is like the ghost story from Chicago. It's the most famous ghost story from Chicago too. And you have that many people.
Here's the thing. I mean, can it be a thought form? I'm going to rule that out. Absolutely not. It can be a thought form because you have so many people in a congested area who believe this story to be true. And you have people who are saying that, blah, 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 I've ran into her. And that goes for every major city or every city that has a story.
Right.
You have this amount of mental state or whatever I'm trying to fucking say. Being pushed,
everybody is,
being pushed onto this entity. Therefore, yes, it could be a thought form. But in thinking of it realistically, why can't there be a spirit with every single one of these bodies of water? I mean, I can almost think of every body of water I know personally around me or near me or that I've been to that has had some type of accident where somebody
or car
has
accident.
died.
Yep.
So is it just a thought form, or are these actual earthbound spirits because of a traumatic event are now stuck here? And they are actually experiencing this. I find this phenomenon fascinating, by the way.
Right. I'm saying, but is there really that many stories that follow the same template that are legit? You see what I'm saying? Like,
well, if you
they
think
can't all be true.
Well, but why can't they? Because if you go with the theory that water is a conduit, and actually, hang on, let me finish. If you go with that theory that water's a conduit, and it actually gives energy to the spiritual realm, we know from watching, when there's been wells underneath and underground aquifers and stuff like that, that does act like a beacon and a battery. Why can't there be There are tragedies every single day along every single
Right.
highway and around bodies of water all the time.
Well, I'm
Of
not.
course,
I'm not talking about water though. I'm talking about just that vanishing hitchhiker story. Like, how could they? There are some that do involve bodies of water, like you were saying, the woman of White Rock Lake. But I'm saying, but do you think because every one of these stories follow the exact same template, there's no way that it is that all of them are true stories. They have to be that urban legend that's been passed down from all across the country. You heard it from a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. Now, is there some validity to these stories? Sure, but I just can't see where every one of these stories is legitimate.
I have 2 words for you, Ryan.
Mhm.
Alien abduction.
There
They
you go,
all
that sums it
follow
up.
a template. They
True.
all follow a template. They all
Mhm.
have almost the same kind of outcome. They all have the same type of thing. Ever since
Mhm.
Betty and Barney Hill came forward, that
True.
we just covered. So
Mhm.
you're very adamant about believing abductees. So how is it that this one can't be true because it follows the same template?
I can tell you why, because it's not in every case, but there are a lot of cases of people who are abductees that there is physical evidence left behind. There is
Okay. Well, there's some physical evidence left behind in these stories as well. The puddle of water in the back of the cars and things like that. So the physical touch on the skin, her skin being ice cold, there is physical evidence in these stories. So how can these not be true, but abductee stories can? Oh, we didn't know we were getting to popcorn this early, damn it. We're only 17 minutes in.
We can want popcorn already.
And I'm sorry, Ryan,
like
it's
I
2
said,
against 1.
I don't give a shit. Like I said, it is there are there are like the implants that are left behind. There are
But not always.
there's radiation left behind. Not always,
But
no.
not always.
Not always, but I'm saying in some of these stories there are physical evidence left behind. And yes, they do follow a template, but there is a
Okay.
variation to all of them. I understand what you're saying. I totally get it.
Yeah. But
But-
here's my also thing is that if you want to talk
Mhm.
about physical evidence,
Mhm.
is the people or is the action of going to the house where the address is the person had died at not physical evidence in and of itself? Because how would they know to go to that house if they had not run into this ghost?
Natural
True.
entity.
But that's part of the story. We don't know if that actually happened. Like I said, it could just
It
be
has
urban legend.
for the story to have been told. More than likely, there had to be at least one person
At
to
least
tell
one,
it.
sure. At least once. I'll give you that. There's probably some that do have an element of truth to them. I'm just saying that every single one of these stories have the same exact template. Knock on the, you go out dancing, pick her up, she disappears, knock on the door. Oh, my daughter's been dead for 15 years. It's always the same template. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much I do believe in all of these hitchhiker stories.
Oh, another good point in the comments. Thank you,
What?
Becca.
What?
Don't most serial killers also follow some kind of pattern as well?
Yes, they do.
They do, yes, but I understand what you're saying, but it's just one of those things where I find it hard to believe that every one of these hitchhiker stories are real. I think a lot of them are definitely urban legend. I think I'll give Resurrection Mary, I'll give that to her because I know people have. I mean, it's in a populous city, and you have people who travel back and forth every day that have physically seen her walking down that road. I'll give that to him. What were
So
we gonna
it's
say?
the Lady of the Lake, White Rock Lake. There are people. I actually know somebody who
Right.
says that they had an encounter
Sure.
with the Lady of the Lake.
Sure.
I think that I don't think that that's something just driving along and
Mhm.
suddenly these people who said they've had this encounter, that suddenly just go, oh, I'm on that same road. Maybe I'll tell somebody a story about it tomorrow. No, if something makes you stop,
Mhm.
you're going to want to know what it is. And if it's supernatural out of this
Mhm.
realm, you're going to tell that story.
Right.
I do think some of it is urban legend. However, there
Mhm.
has to be an incident for there to be a story,
Sure.
right?
And that's
Has to
yeah.
be something. It may
Right.
not be the exact story of like Resurrection Mary goes, but
Mhm.
being that there are thousands of accidents every day, there is tragedy along every road,
True.
every single day, around bodies of water all the time. I
Mhm.
think it's very and it's being fed by the energy of highways,
Right.
of people that tell the story. So yes, I think that the energy could actually be perpetuated and
Mhm.
fueling these spirits to be able to be seen. Think about, I mean, we just got back from Gettysburg. Think about that.
Mhm. Right.
You know how many people we saw driving that battlefield road,
Right.
that tour of where everything went.
Mhm.
There have been so many things seen along that road. Yes, that road I believe is very haunted,
For
but
sure.
it's being fed every day by
Mhm.
every person that comes through there. So
Mhm.
if they're imprinting their energy and leaving their energy, why can't a spirit feed from that and actually show up?
Right. And what I'm saying is I totally agree with you. And what I'm saying is I think that there is an element of truth to some of these stories, but I don't. But it's just interesting to me that no matter where you go, it's the same story over and over and over again. So some of it does have to be urban legend, but I do believe that there are some that do have an element of truth in them.
I think what you're looking for is the damsel in distress story.
Yeah.
And I have never heard in any of these stories, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, of a female rescuing the female in distress along the highway. It's a damsel in distress
true.
story. Okay. It's always a male that has
Mhm.
offered this poor girl a ride home.
Right.
So yeah, I can see how that might be urban legend perpetuating the myth. And maybe it's just because females aren't just going to stop and let people in their car. That if you
Right.
want to argue that, I'm with you on that. But it is a damsel in distress story in all of them. It's always a male who wants to be the rescuer, only to find out that he has not rescued her at all.
I ain't gonna stop for nobody's ass. Y'all got AAA
No.
these days. Call roadside assistant; they'll help.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely, man. You make a very good point. I didn't even think about that. It always is like a guy that picks up the
It's
girl.
always a male. I've never ever, and if anybody's heard the story of a female picking up a female on the side of the road to take them home and they're disappearing, please put that in the comments. I have never heard the lady in white story ever told as a female picking up the female.
The only one that I know that had a female involved that picked her up was because her husband chose to pull over.
Right.
That's the only one that I know
But
of.
it's still a damsel in distress story.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That it's still a damsel in distress story. It's just the only one, and that comes from the White Rock Lake area, is that it was a couple that was driving on the road.
That's
and
one version of it, correct?
Right. And the lady said something, and the guy was like, "We should probably help her," and he pulled over. So there was a lady involved, but it was a man's decision to pull over and help the lady and the lady.
And that is an interesting element I did not think about. You're absolutely right. It always is a guy. That is pretty interesting. I have to look into that further because I want to.
I hope someone does, because that's what I find interesting about it.
I will tell you, this is I think we can make this a whole topic. The ladies of the lake, the vanishing hitchhikers, stuff like that. That phenomenon just, I don't know, it boggles my brain because of what we were just talking about.
Right. And just how widespread it is. For sure.
Yeah.
And perhaps the myth is perhaps stories are perpetuated because, men, I love you, but y'all really do like to be rescuers. And so maybe that's why the story endures and is perpetuated. Hey, I'm here for it. You want to rescue me? Come rescue me, child. I'm here for it. I can probably rescue myself, but I'll let you try.
I don't need your damn help. Leave me alone. Call AAA.
Exactly. But I think that's one of the reasons that this story is so perpetuated, because we like hero stories. And the hero is going to rescue the damsel.
Right.
So.
And when it comes to guys, it's a pretty girl.
I left that part out. I was going to leave a little dignity.
We're gonna stay off of that area of it.
I know. I'm saying, but you know how some. Anyway, so y'all ready for the next story then?
Yes, please.
All righty. I say for our next story, we're going to move over to another major city that straddles the northern part of the country along the Great Lakes, and that city is Cleveland, Ohio. And we're going to go to a first-floor apartment at 4702 Mason Court, where in 1957, the young family of Thomas Todd and his wife Geraldine and their son Anthony moved into that apartment in November, only to realize that maybe they might not be the only people or things living in that apartment. Because along with their new apartment, the Todd family also had a cellar, and late at night, disembodied moans and screams would emanate from deep within the cavernous basement.
Burn it down.
No, it's just middle of the night. Shelly's just here. Shelly.
And next thing you hear is
just a splashing of gasoline going down the hallway. That's all you hear next.
And it would scare the absolute bejesus out of the young Todd family. But the final straw came in March of 1958 when Geraldine had laid her son down for a nap that afternoon. She began to hear that awful racket from the basement again, and Geraldine was fed up. So she was tired of living in fear in her own home. So she decided to go to the bottom. She decided to get to the bottom of what was terrorizing her family. She went into the kitchen and pulled back the trap door in the center of the room that led to the basement underneath, revealing a fragile old rickety staircase and a singular light bulb, providing very little light. Nonetheless, Geraldine pressed forward, and descended the staircase into the dark, damp cellar, looking for anything that she could find that would give her some sort of clue of what she was dealing with. But then she stopped dead in her tracks because she saw it. Protruding out of a pile of broken furniture was a mangled, bloody human hand. Geraldine could not believe her eyes, and before she knew it, her feet had carried her up the stairs. Geraldine grabbed the door and slid it back into place.
That's what I'm going to say from now on. I'm going to say, before I knew it, my feet carried me right up those stairs. She ran. I got it. I'm here with you. She ran.
Shit, if I saw a mangled, bloody hand hanging out of a pile of broken furniture where I've heard moans.
That was just a lot of words to say. She turned around and ran. Mm-hmm. Without knowing you, her feet carried her up the stairs. Yeah, that's what mine did too. I had no control. Feet, bad foot.
Don't film me now.
I wanted to stay there.
Now she hoped that nothing. It's a literary device. So, she hoped nothing would come up the stairs after her, and she waited anxiously for her husband to get home. And as soon as Thomas walked in the door, Geraldine jumped into his arms and began sobbing, telling her husband of the horrible sight she saw down the stairs. Thomas listened intently and calmed his wife down and told her that everything was going to be okay. She was just imagining things.
I got you, baby.
And it was
we'll
probably
get you some
nothing.
Pills. Yeah, we'll get you some pills.
I said, I'll get you a white coat. It's all good. But Geraldine knew what she saw. She wasn't imagining anything. There was something down there. But eventually she calmed down and began to prepare dinner for her husband and child. And in the middle of making dinner, she forgot that she was standing on top of the trap door. Suddenly, the trap door flung open and sent Geraldine flying across the kitchen. Thomas thought someone had broken in and was trying to come up through the door. So he jumped down into the hole ready to fight. But there was no one there. Thomas was completely and utterly spooked. So he ran back up the stairs and grabbed his hammer and nailed the trap door shut. The next morning, he and Geraldine packed up their son and moved to a nearby hotel, refusing to sleep another night in that house. Now, friends of the couple heard about them leaving the home and wondered why they would flee such a perfectly good home to go live in a nearby hotel. The Todds told them exactly what happened, and no one believed them and thought they were crazy. So they decided they would take their friends back to the home and let them see for themselves. So on March the 31st, the Todds took 15 of their friends back to the apartment to show them just how serious they were. Now, the friends didn't take them seriously, and there was a lot of skepticism among all their friends. But all of that ceased when the group gathered around the trapdoor, and the trapdoor began to raise, and the nails in the 2x4s began to bend and twist under the immense pressure. From underneath the door, the group witnessed fingers from a phantom hand curling around and wriggling as the wood from the 2x4s cracked and splintered.
At what point did they start stomping? I'd be like, I would have too.
Jump up and down on the door to get the damn thing back down in there.
That's right.
Like a fucking Looney Tune. So their friends believed them now, and everyone had seen enough, so they all fled the apartment. Now, Thomas ran to a nearby phone and called the cops. And so the Cleveland PD sent out two officers, one named Edmund Sinton and his partner, whose last name was Mancuso, to investigate. The Todds were visibly shaken, as were their friends. They told the officers what they had seen, and the two patrolmen believed them enough to search the home. They saw the splintered wood in the kitchen and searched the basement and searched the home from top to bottom and found nothing. All they did report was the distinct sound of someone digging with a spade shovel deep in the basement. The Todds never returned to that home, but the case somehow found its way to Hans Holzer. Holzer interviewed the Todds 5 years after their experience, and try as he might, never could get to the bottom of the case. The apartment no longer exists, and it is nothing more than an empty lot. The Todds have passed on, and so has Hans Holzer. No one has seen the bloody hand since. But if you're feeling brave, go out there late at night and see if you can find it. Just don't let it drag you off to your doom.
So was it an apartment or a house? You kept going back and forth between saying an apartment and a house.
It was like an apartment home. I said home, I didn't say house.
Okay, so an apartment home is like maybe like a conjoined something side
like
by
a
side,
duplex,
not necessarily
maybe, perhaps.
not necessarily stacked on top of each other, but side by side.
Like townhomes, like row houses almost, like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now,
I'm intrigued by this one.
I will say there was an episode of the Holzer Files that they actually
Right, I
investigated some
remember
of this
that.
case. And they seem to think, if I remember correctly, because they went and talked to a historian, and the historian told them that that area where those apartment homes were built, or around that area, was where the infamous torso killer had dumped a lot of bodies. And if anybody knows about the torso killer, Elliot Ness tried to catch this guy, and was never able to catch him.
Yes, I never did.
Yeah, so they think so. I remember they kind of think it's drawn a connection between the torso killer and that bloody hand, but no one was ever actually able to solve it. But I mean, if you go listen, Hans Holzer interviewed the parents and
The Todds, right?
The Todds, and the story. Like, listen to them tell the story. It's pretty damn terrifying. I mean, you see a bloody human hand trying to reach up from underneath the damn floorboards to try to come after you. Like, what do you do? So I don't know. What do you guys think about this story?
I mean, I would, just because of the torso killer being active in the area. I mean, there's a little bit of credibility there. I like this one because there's multiple witnesses to it, not just the family that's living there. There's also police officers that are involved who are saying they are hearing something in the basement, though they can't say they witnessed anything other than the splintered wood is like evidence of what the people were saying. And then you have Hans Holzer involved as well, which I really, really like Hans Holzer and how he kind of investigated cases. He was very it was more scientific minded.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, we hear about all the time about spirits sticking around because of a traumatic event or unfinished business. So why can't a phantom hand try to be seeking revenge for something that happened to it? I don't know.
Because as far as I know,
this was interesting.
Like, as far as I know, all they ever saw was the hand. They never saw any other entity attached to it, just the phantom hand.
So I've got a question here.
Sure.
Did they actually see what appeared to be human fingers, or was it more like ethereal, like you could see through it? Was it more translucent, transparent, or did it appear to be an actual human hand?
Everything that I found, it appeared to be an actual, like, bloodied human hand. It wasn't.
Okay, so we're talking about a reanimation of a corpse at some point, even a partial piece of a reanimated corpse.
Right.
Now, because they never got the trapdoor open and all they saw is the hand trying to come through. Are we talking about zombies here? Could there be a reanimated corpse that was actually coming through? And the fact that they didn't open up the trapdoor and look, how do we not know that it wasn't actually?
I don't think we're talking about a zombie, no. I think that we're talking about a pretty powerful manifestation of whatever was trying to get their attention. Or I don't necessarily think it was... Maybe I don't think it was necessarily trying to seek revenge on the family or anything. I think it was maybe
that wasn't what I was going for.
Was their attention.
That's what I was saying. We could have been seeking help. That's odd that it's just the hand.
It is. It's very odd.
That's fascinating to me because that isn't the norm in most of the ghost stories and things like that you hear. It's very rarely ever just like, okay, well, this foot just walked along. It was just a foot. You don't hear that story very often. No. Usually I see the shadow, I see the figure, I may see the torso and the body, but not the hands or the feet because they haven't formed yet. But to only have the hand, that is fascinating. The fact that whenever she goes to the basement, she sees the hand. Now, my question becomes, when they first moved in there, because you said that she finally goes down to the basement. Did they not check out the basement before they moved in? Had they not gone down to see it?
As far as I know, no. I don't think, because in the story it talks about her just pulling back and finding the stairs, to go down to the
cellar.
Yes,
into the cellar, basically.
I don't think that maybe they were too scared to go down there initially, because when they first moved in, like I said, they had been hearing those moans and groans and everything else coming from the basement. So
yeah, my question becomes is first of all, I kind of think Thomas Todd's a little bit of a coward, because if I come running up the stairs because my feet just carried me there before I realized it, I tell him there's something going on. As my man, you better go trucking your ass down in there and figuring out what's going on. Don't just tell me I'm imagining shit. But he leaves it alone, and then again, I got a few problems. Then she just forgets that it's down there and just goes on to make dinner, and she's standing on this trap door, which obviously opens up instead of down. It's pulled up instead of falls through. So
I don't know. I mean, that's just the story that I know.
Yeah.
from the research. I don't know exactly. That's
I'm
just the
stumped
story
on this
that-
one.
Yeah.
I'm
And-
stumped
Okay, I
on
have a
this
couple
one.
of points on this.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Number one, I don't do fucking basements. And if you ask me
No.
after you run upstairs to go check out what the fuck is down there, hell no,
Right.
we're getting the hell out of the house. I'm not going down there. You just ran
Mhm.
upstairs. Why the hell am I going to go down there to figure
Yeah,
out
if
what the
I run
fuck it is?
upstairs, yeah, you shouldn't go down there. That's true.
Yeah, screw that. I'm not doing that. I don't play the hero. Let me go check it out. No.
Right.
I will run out of a building faster than anybody else that is there, so long as my feet carry me there before I even realize it. Number two, I don't know. I think I'm going to go towards this theory. This is my theory on this. So if we have the torso killer that's operating in this area,
Right.
let's go off of that theory.
Mhm.
Okay. Obviously, it would make sense that being a torso, okay, you probably
Chopped up. Yeah.
Chop people
chopped
up.
everybody up.
Mhm.
Right.
Check mark on that for being a phantom hand. Got it.
Mhm.
She said you said initially she saw it within a pile of broken furniture. Is that correct?
Yes. In the basement. Yes.
So it's kind of buried, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Yeah,
So is
okay.
it just a hand?
Check. So check
know.
on being buried because you're a serial killer and you've buried your victim's body parts.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden they don't do any more investigating on this. That's the thing.
Mhm.
She runs up the stairs, forgets about it. She flies across the kitchen because the trapdoor comes, husband nails it down, all this stuff. And then the hand itself is trying to come up out of the basement.
Mhm.
So my thinking is why can't it be the spirit of the individual who was killed, let's say, by this torso
Right.
killer, who is trying to get their attention to come down into the basement to realize where they are buried at, if that was where they were
Could be.
active and was burying victims in this area. Because we do say, and the reason where I'm going with this, I do have an endpoint.
And I'm with you on that.
We say all the time whenever we're investigating, when we get scratched, it's not necessarily bad.
Right.
That they're trying to get your attention and they may not realize it,
Right.
or that's how they communicate. So they reach out for you, they accidentally scratch you. Maybe that's kind of the case here. Yeah, it's crazy and scary the power that this thing has, and I think it's a quote unquote scarier story because so many people are involved witnessing this happen at the same time with the fingers curling up and open. I don't know. I kind of take it as like, yo, bitch, I'm down here. Come dig. Like
That's what I'm thinking. I mean,
I'm a victim
I'm
of
with you on
this
that.
guy. I'm down here. I'm trying to get your attention. You're here. You live here. I'm calling out for help. Come help.
Mhm.
And
here's
instead, you tuck tail and run. Don't get me wrong, I would too if all
Right.
that crap was going on, But I don't know. Looking at it from that perspective,
Right. And I'm with
I
you.
gotta kind of go. That's about the only thing that
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it is scary, but I mean, maybe they're just like going to the extremes to try to get your attention to come find them.
Well, and
I'm
here's the
with ya.
thing at both points.
Sorry.
Okay, so here's the
Our
thing.
comments were going crazy for a second.
It could have.
Everybody's talking about Thing from the Addams
Yeah.
Family.
But here's the thing is that the first time the hand was buried in a pile of rubble, the next time all they see is the hand kind of, there might have been a full spirit attached to that. There might
Could
have
have
been
been.
more than a hand
Could have been.
that because they never
Mhm.
investigated further. They weren't sure. If
Mhm.
all the hand could do is like reach out, that could have been the spirit of something that was in fact concealed and
Right.
covered by all the furniture and the pile of yuck that it was
Right.
hiding in. And whenever they came from under the trap door, it was nailed shut. Nobody opened it to see if there was anything more than the hand. There could have been actually a full spirit attached to that, but again, the story of the
Right.
bloody, gruesome hand is far more frightening.
Mhm.
So
I'll add on to kind of what I was saying, and this is something to think about just in the paranormal investigation world. Think of how much we do evidence-based, or how much we get
Right.
evidence-based, or asked to receive evidence-based that has to do with a hand. Can you give me a knock? That has to do with a hand. Oh my God, I think I just got touched. That's a hand. I
Right.
got scratched.
hopefully,
That's a hand. Yeah, hopefully. I got scratched. That's a hand. Almost everything that we ask them to do other than vocalization almost centers around their hands. Give me a knock, give me a tap. You can touch me.
Touch the
Oh my God,
rampart.
I got
Mhm.
scratched. Touch our equipment, play with our equipment. It's tactile. So why is it weird to say that it's just a hand that's showing up when we ask them to use their hands all the time
True.
whenever we're investigating?
True.
good point.
I don't find it very weird. I think it's just a spirit that was trying to reach out, and these little
I think
chicken
so,
shits
too.
ran out of the house before they could figure it out. So
As
there's
you said
probably
you would
still,
do.
as I
Mhm.
said, I would do. Oh, 100%.
Right.
Move out, burn it down. I'm done. I'm not playing that game. I have enough spirits in my own house. I don't need a phantom, bloody, gruesome hand adding to that. Never mind, I'm not saying that on the air. Somebody said something about a hand job. Anyways, and they also named somebody. I'm not gonna go there. But anyways, I think the spirit. I think it was the spirit just needing help. I don't think it's weird
think
that
so
we use a
too.
hand because we ask them to use their hands almost all the time, and some
Mhm.
more than others, obviously based on the comments. Whenever we're
Right.
investigating, so
And I do think what lends this case credibility to me too is the fact that Hans Holzer was interested enough in it to investigate himself to figure out what the deal was. Even though he never did figure it out, I think that speaks volumes for this case personally. But
yeah,
I'm with
agree.
you, man. I'm with you, man.
I'm gonna go with credible on this, in my opinion,
Mhm.
with the inclusion of so many witnesses,
Mhm.
Hans Holzer and police as well.
Right.
And the fact that they ran scared shitless.
Mhm.
That adds some credibility
I
to
mean,
me.
yeah,
They're not like, I
even
went
the
down to the
cops,
basement, and
right?
and all
But
that.
even the cops were hearing phantom noises of a spade shovel digging in the basement too that they
Right.
couldn't explain. So yeah, I'm gonna go with credible on this one too.
Everybody in the comments thinks that it was definitely a hand job that was
You
trying
don't
to take
say.
place. So, love our people.
Y'all ready for the next one?
Yes.
Yeah, give it to me.
All right. All right, so this one's more of like,
Hand it to me.
hey, so this one is more of an urban legend. I'm curious what you guys think about this one. So for our next story, we'll move over to the state that we have spent a considerable amount of time in, and a state where we met some of our greatest friends up in the Midwest, and that would be the great state of Wisconsin.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and to a small little farm village in 1865. Now, Max Hoffman was a 5-year-old, healthy little boy. He was the youngest of all of his siblings and enjoyed doing all the things a little boy of his age loved doing. He was living a perfectly normal life for a child until 3 days after his 5th birthday. Poor little Maxie contracted a terrible disease, the Yellow Death, or cholera. At the time, cholera is a death sentence. Doctors have absolutely no cure for the disease, and the victim either fights it off or has a slow, horrible death. So the family knew Maxie was in dire straits and called the doctor. The doctor came by and examined the child and confirmed that he did indeed have cholera. The family was absolutely devastated. They did not want to lose their youngest to something so awful. But their hands were completely tied in the matter, and the doctor gave them his sympathies and told them that the only thing that they could do was make Maxie comfortable. The parents thanked him and sent him on his way. But they visually watched their son for the next 3 days until he ceased to show signs of life. So they called the doctor back out to the house, and he again examined the child and confirmed the parents' worst fears. Poor little Maxie was dead. Maxie's parents went into town to speak with the undertaker.
Just slam that on us, Ryan. Jesus.
Yeah.
There wasn't
Hey,
no
man.
sugarcoating that shit at all.
He was.
'Cause
One
of the
Maxie was
sweetest-
fucking dead.
He was gone.
One sweet little boy had passed away. I mean,
Mhm.
he's dead. God, you're so callous.
Hey, man, he gone. So,
You're so callous.
I
What's
hope
gonna
you
get for
never
that?
have to deliver news to anybody.
now, Maxie's parents went into town to speak to the undertaker so they could get their poor little boy a proper burial. Now, Maxie's family didn't have a whole lot of money, but his father thought his casket needed something special. So he picked out a small pine box for his son and used some of the family's meager savings to put silver handles on the little coffin. The family paid the undertaker for the casket, and the undertaker came out to the house and placed Maxie's limp, lifeless body inside. The next day, the family held a funeral for him and buried him in the county cemetery about 100 yards from his home. A sad end to such a bright, joyous little boy. Miss Hoffman had a particularly hard time letting her son go. She hadn't slept well since his death. But one night, a few days after she fell into a deep sleep, she began to dream a very vivid dream. She saw her son in his coffin, but he wasn't lying still. He was twisting and writhing and trying to get out. And his hands were underneath his right cheek. Miss Hoffman sat up bolt right in her bed, screaming at the very top of her lungs, waking up her husband out of a deep sleep. He rolled over to console her, and she buried her face in his chest. He asked her what was wrong, and she said, "It's Maxie in his coffin. He's alive and was trying to get out. His hand was underneath his right cheek. He's alive. I know it. We have to go get him." Mr. Hoffman knew his wife was having a hard time, as was he. The loss of their son had been almost too much for them to bear. So he told his wife to calm down. It was just a bad dream. He told her it was best to go back to sleep and forget about the whole thing. He said it was a cruel fact that Maxie was gone. There was nothing they could do to change it, and digging up his little coffin would only cause them to feel worse. She agreed and went back to sleep, wishing her son was still living. But the next night, she had the exact same dream. And this time, she woke her husband up and begged and pleaded to go to the graveyard and dig up Maxie. Mr. Hoffman was still extremely skeptical and a little annoyed, but saw the sincerity in his wife's face and agreed to go dig Maxie up to show her that he was indeed gone. So Mr. Hoffman woke up his eldest son to go get the neighbor and to come help him dig up Maxie. The neighbor agreed, and at about 1 a.m. they went out to the graveyard and began to dig down 6 feet where Maxie's pint-sized coffin rests in the soil below. Finally, they were able to exhume his coffin, and Mr. Hoffman pried the lid off. Miss Hoffman was standing right beside him, and as the lid came off the coffin, she gasped. He was in the exact position she dreamed he was in. Although he still seemed lifeless, Mr. Hoffman thought if his wife was right about Maxie's positioning, she had to be right about him being alive. So he picked up the boy and rode him to the doctor's house. Mr. Hoffman pounded on the doctor's door, trying to wake the doctor from his sleep so he could come in and re-examine the boy. When finally he heard the deadbolt unlock and the doctor opened the front door, the doctor was surprised to see Mr. Hoffman on his porch, cradling the dead child in his arms. So he asked what the meaning of all this was. Mr. Hoffman told him his story and asked the doctor if there was anything at all that he could do to try to revive Maxie. The doctor thought the whole thing was futile but agreed to give it a shot. So he set to working on Maxie, trying any and everything, and after a few minutes the doctor was surprised because he detected a faint heartbeat. And after a few minutes, Maxie opened his eyes, astonishing everyone in the room. The doctor and parents watched the child for a week, and to everyone's amazement, Maxie made a full recovery and lived to the ripe old age of 85. All the while having the silver handles from his first coffin on display just above the mantle of his home and telling anyone who would listen about how a mother's love saved his life.
Okay, that's a little fucking morbid.
What
I'm not gonna put that fucking shit on my mantle.
the handles?
The handles from your first. This was the first time that I died. Let me just put them on the like. That's not calling death into your freaking house. That's bad juju.
That's kind of cool.
Bad juju.
I think that's kind of cool.
You would. You would. You would. Okay.
Yeah.
I will say stories like this freak me the hell out.
Mm-hmm.
Being buried alive, I'm claustrophobic. Being 6 feet under.
Right.
I know it does not happen at all, really, anymore today. Not saying
anymore.
At all.
I mean, it does happen, but
it does happen. I'm gonna go on record to say maybe not in the United States. I know there's some other areas that they don't do all the embalming process and everything like that, so I know it probably happens elsewhere. It totally fucking freaks me out. I do understand that this is a lot of where we get the graveyard shift, dead ringer, like all of that kind of stuff. Saved by the Bell, everything like that. Yeah. Where we get a lot of those things from. I mean, I'm intrigued by this. I mean, I'm gonna go on. I'm just gonna say that this is 100% true. I don't see how this could be false. I mean, you think about a mother's love for her child and that connection that they have when she carried him for 9 months. I mean, you're always going to share a connection with your mother.
Right. It's
always.
Like it is like almost a cosmic connection. Like your mom knows. If nobody knows anything about you, your mom knows when you're not doing well or you're happy or sad or whatever. It's like that you are connected to your mother.
Yeah. So I 100% believe that was something. Maybe not him because I don't think he was dead, but he might have been real close to it and been able to reach her. But something was letting her know, hey, go get your child. Right.
And a mom just knows. It's that motherly instinct that kicks in. She knew that he was alive. And she was trying to convince everyone else around her. Thankfully, she did finally get them convinced, but she knew. And I don't know. Do you think he was actually dead, or do you think that Do you think that he was just
No, I think it was buried alive. No, you're talking
Mhm.
1865. That's when you said this
Right.
happens. No,
Yeah.
he was buried. He was buried alive by accident.
Mhm.
That is one of the things with cholera, with yellow fever, like all
Right.
of those kind of things. They were. I mean, they would have to usually put you in a little area, and they would have. I think it was like a 24-hour watch where they would have one person, 2 or 3 people, at the same time, sit around you and watch for breathing.
Right.
And before they did anything else.
Mhm.
But even then, sometimes you slipped through the cracks and you were buried alive.
Mhm.
And that's why they started putting the bells down through that you could ringle them, all that kind of stuff. And people would stay up for the graveyard shift listening for the bells. I 100% believe that he was alive the whole time. I don't think he was dead. I think he was just mistakenly buried alive
Absolutely.
And
and somehow
I,
reached his mom.
and I'm gonna, being a mom, yeah, that connection to your child is very, very powerful. And I completely believe that her child wanting her, I think that carried through and met. I hate stories like this, and met into her subconscious and cosmically, or however you want to put it, found its way to her. That calling, that yearning for your mother, that we all have.
Mhm.
I think that reached her, and that was their connection, and that he absolutely was letting her know that he was still alive, and probably her grief
Mhm.
at losing him, that was probably thrown out in the universe too. And I think that it found its way to him, his yearning for her found. And I think that, I'm gonna call that I believe this one, because just like you
Mhm.
guys had said,
100%.
I have known on days when my son wasn't doing well. And it was just like I would just call him, it would just get this feeling, and I would call him like, "Hey, how's your day going?" He's like, it's been a bad day, Mom." "Okay, well, what's going on?" You're right, it's this thing about a mom just knows
Mhm.
that when their child isn't as they should be.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm gonna call yeah, I'm gonna believe this one. Think the time it absolutely was possible, and thank God that she didn't stop begging and insisting for this to be done. I'm gonna tell you right now, I ever get that kind of vision, I'm not calling the neighbor waiting for you to give me the okay. I'm calling
Yeah.
you guys and say, meet me out here and bring you shovels. Because
Mhm.
I don't care if I look crazy, and I don't care if they put me in jail. If I'm right, then whatever. But if I'm wrong, then okay, go ahead and give me some little pills and wrap me in that pretty white coat, and it'll all be fine. But if I'm right, yeah, we just saved a life. Yeah, absolutely. I
Well, I
believe in
mean,
this one.
Yeah.
there's 100%. I mean, there's 2 sets of people in this world that I believe can always know when something is up with the other one or something is happening to the other one, and that is a mother and her child, and that is twins. And
Right.
if you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, why? Because you're sharing energy, you're sharing a body, you have that
Mhm.
connection, all this kind of stuff. So I think that there is an extra special kind of sixth sense
Right.
connection that a mother has to her child, who and the twins as well, if there are twins involved, to each other. Because at one point you all shared the same blood, the same, I mean,
Mhm.
my God, the nutrition's the same frequencies.
Right.
You shared everything at one point. So why not? Why can't
Mhm.
a mother have that connection?
Right.
Yeah,
And, you know,
100% true on this.
it's funny because a lot of times, and this is true with whenever a mom is pregnant, soon to be mom is pregnant. They have cravings, things that they like.
Right.
Me personally, it was cherry ices. I had to have a cherry icy every day. My son, one of his favorite things to get is a cherry icy. To this day, he'd be like, "Mom, they have cherry ices. You want to stop and get one?" Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I didn't like them before, and I very rarely ever have them now, but I had to have one every day. Funny because he loves cherry ices. That's one of the things. And I ate a lot of very hot chicken wings because that was something else. He loves chicken wings. It's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
let's go get chicken wings. So yeah, you share the same connections. They tend to take on what you like, because that, like you said, the nutrients, the nourishment, that kind of thing. So maybe those cravings are what the kid likes. And it's like, hey, mom, I don't care if you don't
Right.
like this. We can go eat some, okay? Because I'm going to make you have that craving. Yeah, I think that connection is very real. I think that's very possible. And I'm gonna call this one credible. And I know there's probably
Mhm.
lots of stories like this,
Yeah.
but this cosmic connection, this maternal bond to the child, I
Mhm.
believe in that.
Oh
Mhm.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna
And
call credible.
I picked this story specifically for Shelly because I knew that she would like this one because of the connection and the
Yeah,
the
but
son
why
coming
you always
back.
got to tell a story about a dead kid, Ryan? I get tired of those. I can't handle those. But the kid lived, so it's
He
okay.
lived exactly.
It's
I thought
better.
it was a good story.
Because
and I
of
thought it
Mama. Because of
Yes,
Mama. Listen to
exactly.
Mama. Mama knows.
Right.
Go get my baby.
I
Right
wasn't
now,
trying
you
to
go
make
get my kid.
I wasn't trying to make you cry. I was trying to give you a feel good story for once
It is
about a kid.
exactly. His feet carried him all the way to 81 before he knew it.
Before I even knew before I knew what was happening.
All right, so that was the feel good story of the night, but this last one's going to be a little bit creepier.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So for our last story of the evening, we're going to head over to the largest and one of the most iconic cities in Michigan, the city of Detroit, where thousands of people work in the automotive industry building the cars that run America. And Bill Adams was one of these folks. And in 1962, his boss at the Cadillac plant switched Bill's shift and Bill to the night shift. Now, Bill was used to working the 9 to 5 shift, like he had done for so many years. But with the increased production at the plant, they needed someone to fill a position on the midnight to 8 a.m. shift. And Bill was happy to oblige because that meant more money and a chance to move up in the company. So Bill started right away. But as he went along, he began to notice a problem. His body wasn't catching up to his new sleep schedule, and he was having difficulty sleeping at home during the day. With all the hustle and bustle of his wife and kids running around and going about their day. So Bill began to look for houses in the area with isolated rooms. That way, he could use it as his own private sleeping quarters during the day, and he could get the sleep that he so desperately needed. And his family didn't have to worry about disturbing their dad while he was trying to rest. And luckily, after a few weeks of searching, Bill found what he was looking for. A nice little gray frame home on Martin Street with a tiny bedroom only large enough for a bed and a closet, tucked away in the very back of the house. This little room was perfect for Bill. So he instantly bought the home and the family moved in. Shortly after the family settled in, Bill had a particularly brutal shift at the Cadillac plant and just wanted a little bit of shut-eye. So he walked in from his shift and damn near collapsed in the bed. But his sleep would not be a peaceful one because he began having the most vivid dream that he opened the closet door in the little room, and when he did, there was a mutilated body, completely drenched in blood and propped up inside.
The fuck?
Yeah, it was enough to wake him up from his deep sleep, causing him to gag and sweat profusely from every pore. While completely unnerved, Bill was a logical and rational man. He knew it was just a nightmare and there was nothing else to it. But while he slept in that room, the nightmares became worse and more intense with each passing day, to the point he was waking himself up screaming at the top of his lungs. So he said to hell with it and began sleeping in the master bedroom. And much to his surprise, the nightmare stopped, which left Bill scratching his head. So Bill said it must have been his overactive imagination, which is why Bill had no problem setting his grandma up in the room when she came up from Georgia for a visit. Here you go, me, Mom. Sleep in the devil room.
Oh, man. That is brutal,
No.
dude.
Uh-huh.
Fuck, that is brutal. That is great, man. I can't wait for my mom to come
Mimi,
visit.
you're gonna be fine. Just go right in there. Don't look in the
Yeah.
closet, Mimi.
Shh, there's nothing back there.
Damn. He's like, I don't know, I'm having these devilish nightmares. You know what?
Of mutilated bodies. But Mimi,
And
you'll
you
be
know-
fine.
You
You're
know what would
old.
be, you know
Me,
what
Mom
would
can
be,
handle it.
you know what would be great in that room right now? Grandma, here you go. Put a walker in there for you too, so you can make a quick escape.
If your feet carry you.
If your
Without-
feet carry
before you
you
even
with
realize
it
it.
before you realize it.
Before you even realize it.
Now,
I feel
so
like
he-
if something like that happened, it'd be the angel of death carried her away before her feet did.
I'm telling you. That's just brutal. You don't stick Mimi in the
Nah,
haunted
that's
room.
mean.
That's just mean. Mimi's on heart medicine and blood pressure medicine. You don't put her in the room that's going to scare her or elevate her blood pressure. No, that's rude. That's rude. What's this dude's name?
his name's Bill.
Bill, you're an ass. Go ahead.
Grandma got edema, swollen ankles, and can't move too fucking
That's
fast.
right.
and
Her
she's
feet
like,
can't
whatever.
carry
She'll
her
probably-
before she realizes what's happening.
She'll probably escape this mortal coil before she
She'll be
escapes
like-
the bedroom.
Oh God, Bill, that's so mean. You don't put Mimi in the haunted room.
So Meemaw had to go to the haunted room, and every night she complained about weird sounds that seemed to be coming from the closet. She said it sounded like someone beating on the door and trying to get out. It scared the absolute bejesus out of her, but she didn't scream because she was scared that whatever it was would come out and quote unquote get her.
And she couldn't get on a rascal that fast to get out of the
No.
room. So, yeah, she had to be quiet. Can't be stealthy on a rascal.
Somebody just said Bill sacrificed his grandma.
Yeah.
So needless to
Oh,
say,
God.
needless to say, she was very relieved when it was time to go back to Georgia.
Yeah.
Grandma was a very honest woman and was not prone to tall tales, so it made Bill wonder if there really was something going on in that little room in the back of the house.
Wait, he did experience it. Why is he now wondering?
Well, like I said, he was a rational man, and he was like, "I was my overactive imagination."
Now that a
It's
second
cool.
person.
Now that Mimi has been scared
Mhm.
shitless,
Mhm.
now he's like, might be something to that.
Yeah, there could be something going on back there. So he started paying more attention to the room and realized that the family dogs and children refused to go anywhere near it. So Bill talked to his wife, and they agreed to lock the room up and not use it anymore. But in October, a family friend named Dick Patterson came into town for a visit.
Now we're going to put Dick in the room? That sounds fun.
The only place they had for him to sleep was the little room. And they knew he wasn't a superstitious man in the slightest, but still decided not to tell him anything about the room.
That's even worse.
Mm-hmm. You know, they're experimenting. They're like, okay, let's not say anything and let's see what happens. So they reasoned that there was no reason to scare him or make him uncomfortable if they didn't have to. So they just let sleeping dogs lie. And that night, everyone went to bed and Dick fell asleep. But around midnight, Dick woke up because he felt someone turn him over. Dick was surprised and opened his eyes and saw a woman that he thought was Bill's wife, Lillian, but realized her hair was longer and she was wearing a blue dress that Lillian wasn't wearing. So Dick thought it could have just been an intruder. And with a flash, he jumped up from bed and ran towards her. But as soon as he got to the doorway where she was standing, all the lights in the house went off. And when they came back on, Dick found himself standing in the middle of the kitchen, where he found Lillian actually at the sink washing her hair. Both of them were utterly confused about what was going on. And just as they were about to ask each other, they were both overwhelmed by the most awful stench that either of them had ever had the misfortune of smelling. The vile stench was wafting out of the room and assaulting their nostrils. Just as the two could no longer stand it and began to get sick, a god-awful wailing sound that sounded like an animal being slaughtered pierced the silence of the kitchen. And if that wasn't enough, Dick and Lillian watched the trap. Here's another trap door. Watched the trap door in the utility room rise and then slam. The two were scared out of their wits, and the whole situation was just too much. So they called the cops to come out to the home and see if they could get to the bottom of what had just happened to both of them. Detroit PD immediately dispatched 2 officers to take a look, and the 2 policemen searched the home high and low, but could find nothing out of the ordinary. So they suggested Dick and Lillian try to go back to sleep, and left them to their own devices.
Where's Bill?
He's at work.
He's at work. Okay.
Yes.
What a dick move.
Ha!
I can't take credit for that. That was in the comments. Thanks, Becca.
Okay, so Bill's at work. All this is happening while Bill is at work. Okay.
Yes. After all the excitement, there was no way that Dick and Lillian were going back to bed. So they sat up in the living room waiting on Bill to get back home. And at 8 a.m., Bill walked in from the Cadillac plant and saw the frazzled pair, drinking coffee and looking like they had been rode hard and put up with. But he asked them what in the world had happened to them. And Dick and Lillian told him the crazy story about the previous night. And Bill believed them, but decided to sleep in the room to get to the bottom of just what the hell was going on in his house. So Bill ate dinner and went to the back bedroom to sleep. No sooner than he had turned off the lights, Bill began hearing a rustling sound by the door that he thought was Lillian, so he rolled over to tell her to go away because he thought the ghost may not show up with her in the room. But what he came face to face with shook him to his very core. Right in front of him was a mangled corpse that smelled worse than death, with deep dark eye holes and a mouth moving as if it was trying to say something. But instead of words, hisses emanated from deep from within, and it scared the crap out of Bill, who promptly jumped out of bed and ran screaming into the kitchen. For Bill, that was it. After getting over the initial shock, he packed his family up and left the home, never setting foot inside again.
The corpse was only trying to scream out, "Dick. I need dick." Sorry.
So that's it?
That's it. They left. They packed up and left, never setting foot inside the house again.
Okay, Bill got some ethical issues. I mean, if I'm,
Bill
if I'm,
too.
if I'm the person coming to visit you and you tell me, and you don't tell me that there's a haunted room, please go ahead and just tell me, give me the option for a hotel, because I don't got to stay in your casa. I'll go stay in a nice little Holiday Inn down the road. But for the most part, if you tell me it's haunted, okay, I'm going to be prepared. I probably
And
do
here's
want to
the
stay in
thing.
that room. But he didn't even
Meemaw-
tell him.
And that's the
And he
thing.
didn't tell Meemaw either.
Meemaw is an old woman from the South, so she'd be prone to believe that and be like, okay, I'm not staying back there. Had she told
Right.
him.
Why you not warn them? That's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Bill's thinking was, he, like I said, he was a rational person, and he's just like, oh, there's nothing to this.
He's
whatever.
so rational that he wouldn't sleep in there, and he boarded up the room. So what? When
After
Bill, you know,
Meemaw
he gets there,
left.
whenever Dick's there, it's like, hang on, got to pull all the nails out of the boards across the wood. Come on,
Yeah.
you are obviously not that rational if you are willing to board up the room. So you know something's up. But here, buddy, got your bed right in here. Just let me pull the nails out of the boards that are covering up the door.
I do
What
kinda
an ass!
an ass and rather unethical, but I do have to admire that he kind of set up an experiment. He's like, I don't believe in this shit. I know Dick doesn't believe in this shit. So let's see if something happens to Dick if I put Dick in this room. So I know that sounds like a weird sentence to say, but yeah, I think that's interesting, but I mean that is a real dick move to. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this one's legit? Do you think that
I
there
call
was actually
bullshit on this whole fucking thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
You
call
think so?
bullshit on this whole fucking thing. I think this is just a tall tale of just being like, well, we had this happen, and then my mom came to visit. By the way, my mom saw it too. But okay, well, where is mom? Is mom anywhere close by that can verify? No, she's all the way
in
in
Georgia.
fucking
She's in
Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have another friend that comes over to stay. Where is he from? Isn't he from far away? I didn't catch remember.
They said far away is a family friend that was in town.
Yeah, family friend that was in town. So he didn't live anywhere close to verify. So I feel like Bill's just being a dick and making an ass out of himself, and putting dick and ass in the same sentence sound like a good time right now. But it,
I think Dick
I
and
call
Lillian
bullshit.
were actually having an affair, and that's why, Bill stuck Dick in that room. In like haunted room.
having an
Yeah.
wait, hold
Wait.
on.
Well, he said he thought it
Hold
was
on.
Lillian, his
Please.
wife, right? Dick thought that it was Lillian, Bill's wife. Why would he assume that?
Right.
Why would Bill put that into the story? And then whenever Bill goes into sleep in it, he thinks it's Lillian. He's going to tell Lillian to leave him alone. Now, if you're really scared to stay in that room, you want a buddy.
Well, he
But
said himself that he didn't want her in there. He said the ghost might not show up if she was in there. That's what he
That's
said.
really because
but-
he's mad at her because he caught her messing around with Dick. That's what it is. He just not going to say it.
It's always dick.
It's always Dick. Dick's
Yeah.
always the problem. Dick is always the problem. I said
Jesus
what I
Christ.
said.
Jesus Christ. So
I'm out. It was a good run.
yeah.
Thanks, y'all. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. This
Yeah.
one just sounds so
Far-fetched.
far-fetched.
Mhm.
Very far-fetched. I feel like Bill is a wonderful storyteller.
I agree.
I
True.
think he can tell a great story.
Mhm.
But this is very far-fetched for me.
Could be. I mean, I don't know if anybody has ever moved back into that home. I don't know. I mean, maybe they've experienced.
Was
some
an
other
address
stuff, but-
given?
Yeah, it was. Hang on, let me back up. It
Look it up right now.
was.
Yeah, let's look that up. Well,
Live Google.
research.
Live Google.
Hang on 1 second. Let me find where he moved in. Give me just a second. It was. Hang on 1 second. My bedroom turned away in the back of the house.
You don't
We're
gotta
not-
keep talking. We don't gotta
Yeah.
keep talking while
Yeah,
while
we're
you're
not.
looking
We're
for
not.
it.
Yeah. You just look for it. We're not live or anything. It's fine.
Yeah,
So
no, well, you asked me. I was looking for it.
Well,
dickweed.
look for it. Just look for it quietly.
That's
We
what I'm
can
looking
continue
for.
our conversation. My goodness. Because if
I don't
anybody
know.
did
This
move
one-
back in that house,
Walker.
there should be more documentation
There
of
should
things
be.
going on.
there should
Unless
be.
it was just Bill who was haunted. But apparently it wasn't because it was going on when Bill was not there. So there should be some continued.
Martin.
reported.
It says Martin Street in Detroit. So I think it's the Martin Street haunting is what it's called.
Martin Street, Detroit haunting.
Hmm.
I'm looking. Y'all keep talking.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know if this is legit or not. I would say probably not. Because I mean, like I said, I think Bill's a very fantastic storyteller.
Okay, hold on. 5508 Martin Street,
Detroit.
Detroit. Yeah, don't fuck with me. I can be a detective, bitches.
That's right. I make him stalk everybody that I like. It's
Mhm.
fine.
He do. She did. Yeah. So was that? So anyway, what do you think, Shelly? I mean, you think Bill's just a fantastic storyteller?
Yeah, I'm calling BS on this one. I think number one, you don't put your granny in that situation. You definitely don't put your buddy without warning them, especially if you've already boarded it up. I mean, you just don't
Mhm.
do it. I think he's telling a tale to perhaps when he got ready to sell the house. Maybe he was trying to get out from under a mortgage. Who knows? You know, he's like, I can't stay there. It's haunted. Maybe that was a selling point to the new owners.
Okay,
Mhm.
well, it's still standing.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Let me look here.
Well, that's interesting that it's still standing. I mean,
It's
so
still standing.
there would have
So
to
it
be.
is the blue house that is
Okay.
on the screen right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
hidden behind all the
Um,
trees.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, so it's that one right there, obviously. So it is still standing. So there would have to be. Hang on, let me zoom in. There'd have to probably be somebody living in it. I mean, well, yeah, there's
Right.
cars right there. So I'm not seeing anything else though
Right.
that
The-
says
I-
anything more about hauntings or anything like that.
Mm-mm. And if multiple people had lived in the house, I mean, they would have experienced something, and somebody else would have said something other than Bill and his wife.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
that seems to be that extreme. That's
Mhm.
making their presence known to anyone in that room. And now, granted, you could have people that had lived there after Bill and not experienced it because not everybody gets to. But in the amount of time that's passed, you'd think there'd be at least one more story.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm not
And
finding anything past this family.
Right.
Yeah, I may have to call BS on this.
I think so too. I
I
think
don't know.
we're all in agreement
well,
on this one.
and the thing, well, I mean, the thing with that is in listening to all of the listening to researching all the shit that we do. How many
Mhm.
stories have I come across where it's a rotting corpse that smells like death and is trying
Right.
to mouth words to somebody in the middle
Right.
of the night in their sleep? Have we actually stumbled across this? In my knowledge, would be the first one that I've heard of.
And that's
Right.
a lot of spiritual energy to exude. Not only
Right.
can you see them, not only can you smell them, not only can you feel their
You
touch,
can hear them.
you can hear
Mhm.
them. That's a lot. You don't usually get all of that at
Right.
once. You might get a foul odor, you might see a shadow figure, you might feel a physical touch. It's rare that it's all at once. Not
Right.
saying it can't happen. I'm sure it does. But this just seems a bit extreme for that amount of energy and then to have absolutely zero reports after.
You know what it sounds like to me, and Blake, I know you'll probably remember these books. Remember the book Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Yep.
When you that's what it sounds like, something out of that to me. You know, that it's just some fictional, thing that's made to sound real, but it's totally a bunch of BS.
And it's very rare that if something or if a building or location is haunted, that it just suddenly stops being haunted. That
Mhm.
because we know that if it's haunted no matter what time of day it is.
Yeah.
It's just
Haunted during the day or night. Doesn't matter.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
the experiencer is what's different. And the
Mhm.
experience you get whenever you're doing ghost hunting or whatever, it's based on you and your energy as to the experience
Right.
that you get, if they choose to talk to you or not.
And
So
just that room as well in the house,
Right.
And the fact is like, oh, we're not going to deal with it, so we're going to board it up.
like that's
Okay,
gonna
well,
stop
I'm
a
sorry,
spirit.
but a board is
That's
not
not
going to
gonna stop
stop a spirit from coming through. It's
Mhm.
going to take a hell of a lot more than that. So I'm
We-
going to call BS on this. A great story, fantastic story, wonderful elements to it. I
Mhm.
just can't get behind the legitimacy behind it.
There
Incredibility.
was a
of it.
lot of energy exuded that,
Right.
if the spirit realm truly had that much energy to exude and give you all of those things at once. I have never experienced all those things at once. I might have
No.
experienced one or two,
Mhm.
but not 4 or 5 like what's being
Yeah.
described. And
Yep.
I'm sure it probably does happen. I've never experienced it, been doing it for 23 years at this point.
Right.
Yep.
Not saying it doesn't happen, but that's a lot of energy.
It is.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
out of all the stories tonight, we're saying 3 out of the 4 are legit.
Let's go ahead and do final thoughts. Yeah, go ahead, wrap it up. Blake, what do you think? Out of all of them, what are we calling yay? What are we calling nay on?
I'm gonna actually say yay on the Phantom Hand for sure. Definitely on the mother and the child connection. The mother knowing her kid was alive, buried alive. I'm actually gonna call yay on the Resurrection Mary as well. But I'm gonna tag on to that and say yay to all of the kind of vanishing hitchhikers type stuff. I do agree that there are some out there who are going to tell the story just to have their 5 minutes of fame, and I understand that. But I do think that we've always said that lore has to come from somewhere, and I cannot think of a body of water that is in around me or that I know of that there has not been some tragic drowning, traumatic accident or something that would cause an earthbound spirit to linger around it to cause these things that may still be trying to wander their way home. I don't know. So yeah, I think the last one's just total bullshit. It's just a great story. Wonderful story. Awesome campfire story that could freak some kids out, but that's about it.
Right.
All right, Ryan, final thoughts?
I think the same. I think this last one is a total campfire story, total urban legend story, just to kind of pass around and scare the crap out of everyone. I'm going to call yay on the Phantom Hand, yay on the mother-child connection. I'm still on the fence about Resurrection Mary Resurrection Mary herself. I'm going to say yay, but about the whole hitchhiker legend, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. But I don't know. I think they're all very interesting, and it's really cool to see how legends travel and how many and how far these legends have been passed down from generation to generation. And I can't wait to check out some more.
All right, and my final thoughts. I am literally stumped on the Phantom Hand one. I don't know what to think about that one. I'm going to call and I don't know on that one. I think the Resurrection Mary story, absolutely. I can believe that. And I can also, the one that rang the most true to me tonight was the mother and child connection.
Oh, absolutely.
The last one, come on, Bill. Come on, Bill. I'm going to call an absolute BS and remind you that dick is always the problem. And with that, Blake, why don't you tell them everything they need to know?
All right, sounds good. Well, if y'all want to support the show directly, check out our Patreon page. That is patreon.com/EVP podcast, 2 P's in that. For just $5 a month, you'll unlock over 450 Patreon exclusive videos, including the pre and post broadcast, which are the 30 minutes before and the 30 minutes after this live broadcast. So you are getting an additional hour with us each week. Your support from this goes directly back into the show and towards the adventures that we bring you week after week. If you are not sure about joining Patreon, try it risk-free with our 7-day free trial. Make sure you stay connected with us. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and many more by searching Everything Vaguely Paranormal and looking for the green sound wave. And remember, you can catch us live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. If you would like to meet us in person and come hang out, there are still a few more chances that are available. The next one we will be at is going to be September the 3rd through the 6th. We will be in Vernal, Utah for Phenomenon 2025. This is a week-long convention with some of the biggest names in the paranormal: Dave Schrader, Jack Osborne, Cindy Kaza, Amy Bruni. Goes on and on and on and on. Again, it's a week-long conference, and tickets can be purchased at phenomenon.net. September the 27th, we will be in Independence, Missouri at the Masonic Temple with Epic VIP Events LLC with the mysterious Mike and Sam for the Parathon with Johnny Hauser, Josh Hurd, Stephanie O'Reilly, many more. That event is 18 and up, though, just so that you know on that. Tickets for that can be purchased online at Eventbrite through the mysterious Mike and Sam. And finally, we have to announce that, unfortunately, we have been saying that we would be at the Rock Island Roadhouse Esoteric Expo on October 4th, but unforeseen circumstances have come up, so we will no longer be in attendance at that Paracon. So if you were planning on seeing us up there, we do apologize. However, we do have one more event I think that we're waiting on, so we will announce that whenever we can. But make sure you go subscribe to our Eventbrite page to be notified when public investigation tickets go on sale. We do have a 2-night event at the Old Park Hotel in October, and tickets for that are almost sold out. I believe we have 3 or 4 left. So make sure you get those before they are gone. To make it easier, we've added all these links to our link tree, which will be on the Everything Vaguely Paranormal Facebook and X profiles Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, or you can search linktr.ee/Everything Vaguely Paranormal. We are grateful for your continued support. Every like, comment, share, and download keeps the adventures alive. So if you have a favorite episode, share it with your friends. And if you have a story, comment, or question, or you would like to be a guest on the show or have us as guest on your show, email us at the evppod@gmail.com. That is THEEVPPOD@gmail.com.
Go like, share, and subscribe to that YouTube page, and make sure that you hit that like button. Give us a thumbs up. And by the way, tomorrow night you can catch us with Nathaniel Elwell on his show.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
All right, so I want to thank you again for tuning in to another weekly edition of Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I am Ryan Roberts. These are my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Miss Shelley Pruitt, and we will see y'all next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.